Welcome back to Books at a Glance. We've covered laws 1 to 41 of the 48 laws of power, and now we're in the final stretch, laws 42 to 48. These last 7 laws will show you how to eliminate threats, control perception, and adapt to changing situations. Whether in the corporate world, business, or everyday life, mastering these strategies will give you the upper hand in any situation. Let's get started. Law 42, strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. Powerful groups and organizations often have a central figure who holds everything together. If that leader is removed, their influence disappears, and their followers become disorganized and weak. This law teaches that instead of fighting every small battle, it is more effective to target the source of influence, the leader, the troublemaker, or the mastermind behind the resistance. Once they are removed, their followers will either scatter or submit. Instead of dealing with symptoms of disorder, eliminate the cause, and the problem will solve itself. During the Renaissance in Florence, the city was ruled by the powerful Medici family. But in 1494, a radical monk named Girolamo Savonarola started turning people against them. Savonarola preached against corruption and encouraged the public to reject luxury and pleasure, creating a massive following. Instead of fighting his growing influence with direct violence, the ruling powers allowed him to go too far. Eventually, Savonarola made too many enemies and lost public support. At the right moment, the authorities arrested and executed him, and his movement collapsed overnight. His followers, without a leader, scattered in fear, and Florence returned to normal. Lesson: instead of confronting every rebellious follower, remove their leader, and the rest will fall apart on their own. Modern applications. 1. Corporate world, removing toxic leaders. In workplaces, toxic managers or employees can spread negativity, gossip, and dissatisfaction. If you remove them, their influence disappears and the work environment improves. 2. Business, eliminating market competition. Businesses often target the key player in a rival company rather than competing with the entire organization. 3. Personal life, dealing with negative influences. Sometimes a single person in a social group spreads negativity, influences bad decisions, or creates conflicts. How to apply this law in your own life? 1. Identify the central figure. Instead of fighting small problems, find the real source of disruption. 2. Let them weaken themselves. Sometimes waiting for the right moment makes it easier to strike. 3. Make your move decisively. When you remove the key figure, do it completely so their influence does not return. 4. Watch the group collapse. Once the leader is gone, the movement will dissolve on its own. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Attacking too early. If the leader still has strong support, removing them can make them a martyr. Underestimating the influence of a leader. If you don't fully eliminate their influence, their followers might regroup. Striking the wrong person. Make sure you identify the real source of influence before taking action. Key takeaways. Instead of fighting small battles, remove the main source of resistance. When a leader is gone, their followers lose direction and scatter. Powerful people don't waste time battling symptoms. They eliminate the root cause. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. This law emphasizes that coercion and force create resistance, while persuasion and emotional influence create loyalty. To gain power, you must win people over emotionally rather than simply trying to control them through authority or fear. By understanding what people desire, fear, and love, you can shape their thoughts and actions without them realizing it. Those who feel emotionally connected to you will follow willingly, making them easier to influence in the long run. If you ignore people's emotions and simply impose your will, they will resent and resist you. But if you understand and appeal to their hearts and minds, they will become loyal allies. In 225 AD, Chuko Liang, a master strategist of ancient China, was facing a powerful enemy, King Menghuo, who ruled the barbarian states in the south. Instead of trying to defeat Menghuo's army through sheer force, Zhuge Liang captured him but treated him with kindness. Each time Menghuo was captured, he was released instead of being punished, which confused and softened his resistance. After the seventh capture, Menghuo willingly surrendered, admitting that he could no longer fight against someone who treated him so generously. By working on his heart and mind, Zhuge Liang turned an enemy into an ally, securing peace without unnecessary bloodshed. Modern applications in corporate world. Companies that focus on winning the hearts and minds of their employees and customers build stronger loyalty and influence. In business, successful negotiators appeal to emotions rather than just facts. In relationships, people respond better to understanding and emotional connection than to demands or arguments. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Understand people's motivations. Learn what people want, fear, and value, and use that to influence them. 2. Appeal to emotions, not just logic. People make decisions based on feelings more than facts. 3. Use symbolic gestures. Small acts of generosity or kindness can create long-term loyalty. 4. Turn enemies into friends. Instead of crushing opposition, convert them with patience and goodwill. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Forcing people to obey through fear creates resentment and rebellion. Ignoring emotions and focusing only on logic makes you seem cold and distant. Trying the same approach on everyone. Different people respond to different emotional triggers. Key takeaways. Winning people's emotions is more powerful than controlling their actions. By understanding what people want and fear, you can influence them deeply. Persuasion is stronger than force. People will follow you willingly if they feel emotionally connected. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. The mirror effect is a powerful strategy that can confuse, mock, or seduce your opponent. When you imitate someone's actions, words, or attitude, you create an illusion of similarity that can either make them comfortable and disarmed or angry and unsettled. By mirroring your enemy's behavior, you prevent them from understanding your true intentions. They become trapped in their own reflection, unable to predict your next move. This tactic can be used to neutralize threats, manipulate perceptions, and gain control. In 1564, Ivan the Terrible, the Tsar of Russia, faced rebellion from his nobles, the boyars. They constantly questioned his authority and resisted his rule. Instead of punishing them directly, Ivan played a psychological trick. He abdicated the throne and placed a weak and incompetent ruler, Simeon Bekbulatovich, in his place. The boyars, who had previously mocked Ivan's rule, now had to obey a powerless leader. This forced them to realize that without Ivan, Russia would fall into chaos. After 2 years, they begged Ivan to return, accepting his rule without resistance. Instead of fighting resistance directly, mirror people's behavior to make them feel the consequences of their own actions. Modern applications of law. 44.1. Corporate world handling difficult bosses or co-workers. If a boss or co-worker constantly interrupts or disrespects you, mirroring their behavior can make them realize their mistake. People don't realize their own flaws until they see them reflected back at them. 2. Business, negotiation, and competition. Mirroring can be used in negotiations to make people feel comfortable and trusting. People feel connected to those who seem like them. Mirroring creates trust and influence. 3. Personal life, managing difficult people. If someone constantly criticizes or manipulates you, mirroring their behavior can expose their tactics. Mirroring makes people confront their own actions. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Use mirroring to build rapport. Subtly copy people's speech and behavior to make them feel comfortable and connected. 2. Expose others' behavior. Mirror bad behavior to make people realize their own mistakes. 3. Confuse and disarm opponents. If someone tries to attack or manipulate you, mirroring them can throw them off balance. 4. Stay subtle. If mirroring is too obvious, it may come across as mockery rather than influence. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Overdoing mirroring. If people notice, they may feel mocked or insulted. Using it in the wrong context. Some people may react aggressively if they feel you are copying them to manipulate. Not controlling the outcome. Mirroring should be used strategically, not just for revenge or mockery. Key takeaways. Mirroring can make people feel comfortable, confused, or exposed, depending on how you use it. It's a powerful tool for persuasion, negotiation, and psychological warfare. Instead of confronting resistance directly, reflect people's behavior back at them to influence their actions. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform. Too much at once. People say they want change, but deep down, they resist it. They are creatures of habit, and if you introduce too many reforms too quickly, they will rebel against you. This law teaches that when introducing change, you must do it gradually and make it seem like a continuation of the past. If people feel that their traditions and beliefs are respected, they will accept change more easily. But if you try to force a radical shift, they will fight back. Powerful leaders and strategists understand that real reform must be disguised as tradition. When Mao Zedong led the communist movement in China, he faced a major challenge. The Chinese people were deeply attached to Confucian traditions. If he openly rejected these traditions, he would lose support. To solve this, Mao associated his communist movement with historical Chinese figures. He compared himself to Zhuge Liang, a legendary strategist, and portrayed his revolution as part of China's historical struggle against corrupt emperors. Instead of presenting communism as a foreign idea, Mao wrapped it in familiar cultural symbols, making it easier for people to accept. When introducing change, frame it in a way that makes people feel it is a natural evolution of the past, not a sudden break from it. Modern applications. 1. Corporate world, implementing new policies without backlash. Many companies struggle when introducing new management styles, technology, or policies. Employees resist change because they fear the unknown. If you force sudden changes, employees will feel insecure and fight back. But if you introduce them step by step, they will adapt. 2. Business, rebranding without losing loyal customers. When businesses modernize their brand, they risk losing loyal customers who are attached to the old image. Change should feel like an improvement, not a replacement. 3. Personal life, convincing family to accept new ideas. People, especially elders, often resist new ways of thinking. If you challenge their beliefs directly, they become defensive. Don't force change. Ease people into it by making it feel natural. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Respect tradition. While introducing change, show people how the new way is connected to their past values rather than completely new. 2. Make change feel gradual and natural. Instead of a sudden shift, introduce small adjustments that lead to bigger transformations over time. 3. Use symbols and familiar language. People accept change more easily if you present it in a way that feels familiar. 4. Avoid too much disruption at once. Too much change creates fear, leading to resistance or rebellion. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Forcing rapid change. People will resist if they feel their traditions or way of life are being attacked. Disrespecting. The past, even if old systems are flawed, completely rejecting them makes people uncomfortable. Trying to change too much at once. Too many reforms at the same time create chaos and backlash. Key takeaways. People resist sudden change, so introduce it gradually. Make reforms seem like natural improvements, not radical shifts. Respect tradition to win people's trust while moving forward. 46. Never appear too perfect. People admire success, but they resent those who seem too perfect. If you appear flawless, talented, and lucky all the time, you will attract envy and hidden enemies. This law teaches that to maintain power, you must appear human, show minor weaknesses, and deflect envy. The world does not tolerate those who seem superior without struggle. It is safer to appear approachable and let others feel you are successful, but not invincible. In the 1960s, British playwright Joe Orton rose to fame with his bold, satirical plays. His partner, Kenneth Halliwell, once the dominant figure in their relationship, felt overshadowed. As Orton's success grew, Halliwell became increasingly jealous and insecure. He saw himself as a failure next to Orton's rising stardom. This resentment boiled into violence, and in 1967, Halliwell murdered Orton before taking his own life. If Orton had handled Halliwell's envy better, by making him feel included, he might have avoided his tragic fate. Modern applications of law. 46. 1. Corporate world, managing workplace envy. If you become too successful too quickly, co-workers may resent you and try to undermine you. Success is safer when you make others feel they contributed to it. 2. Business, avoiding competitor hostility. If a company dominates an industry without sharing power, it attracts regulation, lawsuits, or public backlash. Show vulnerability to avoid becoming a target. 3. Personal life, dealing with envious friends and family. If you are too successful, wealthy, or lucky, friends and relatives may secretly resent you. Let people admire you, but don't make them feel small in comparison. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Admit small flaws. People relate better to those who seem human rather than perfect. 2. Praise others for your success. Make others feel included in your victories. 3. Deflect attention. Occasionally, too much spotlight can make you a target. 4. Appear lucky, not genius. Let people think circumstances helped you, not just talent. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Acting too perfect or superior. This creates resentment. Ignoring jealousy. Envious people can turn against you if you do not manage their emotions. Failing to share credit. When people feel left out, they stop supporting you. Key takeaways. Too much success attracts envy. Appear more human to avoid resentment. Let others share in your victories so they don't turn against you. It's safer to seem fortunate than flawless. People accept luck but hate perfection. Law 47. Do not go past the mark. You aimed for, when people taste success, they often become overconfident and greedy. They push too far, thinking they can't lose. This law warns that knowing when to stop is just as important as winning. Many people lose power because they don't know when to walk away. The moment of victory is also the moment of greatest risk, because arrogance leads to downfall. In Greek mythology, Icarus and his father Daedalus escaped from a prison using wings made of wax. Daedalus warned Icarus not to fly too high, but Icarus became overconfident and soared toward the sun. The wax melted, and he fell to his death. Success can be dangerous. If you don't know when to stop, you might crash. Modern applications of law. 47. 1. Corporate world, avoiding overexpansion. Businesses that expand too aggressively often collapse. Winning does not mean you should keep pushing. Know your limits. 2. Business, smart investing versus greed. Investors who get too greedy often lose everything. Take profits at the right time. Don't hold on out of greed. 3. Personal life, knowing when to walk away. Sometimes, continuing a fight, argument, or relationship beyond a certain point only makes things worse. A wise person knows when to stop. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Set clear goals. Know when you have won and stop there. 2. Control your emotions. Overconfidence leads to bad decisions. 3. Recognize the right moment to exit. Walking away at the peak of success ensures long-term power. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Pushing beyond success. More is not always better. Becoming arrogant. Confidence is good, but overconfidence leads to downfall. Ignoring warnings. History is full of people who lost everything because they didn't know when to stop. Key takeaways. The best victories happen when you stop at the right moment. Greed and arrogance often destroy success. Knowing when to walk away is a sign of true power. Law 48. Assume formlessness. The world is constantly changing. Those who remain rigid and predictable become easy targets. This law teaches that to survive and thrive, you must be adaptable, flexible, and unpredictable. Being formless means never letting others define or pin you down. If people can predict your next move, they can prepare against you. But if you remain fluid, adaptable, and always evolving, you become impossible to control or defeat. Just like water takes the shape of its container, powerful people adjust to every situation instead of clinging to fixed plans or rigid identities. The famous martial artist Bruce Lee believed in the power of formlessness. He often said, "Be water, my friend. Water can flow or it can crash. Become like water and you will never be stopped." Instead of sticking to one fixed style of fighting, Bruce Lee adapted to his opponent's movements, making him unpredictable and unstoppable. Those who are rigid and predictable are easy to defeat. But those who stay flexible and unpredictable are always in control. Modern applications of Law 48.1. Corporate world, adapting to changing business trends. Companies that refuse to change often collapse, while those that adapt to new markets stay ahead. Rigid businesses fail, adaptive businesses succeed. 2. Business, being unpredictable in negotiations. If competitors can predict your moves, they can prepare against you. But if you remain flexible and surprising, you stay in control. Stay flexible, and no one will ever outmaneuver you. 3. Personal life, adapting to life's changes. Life is full of unexpected events. If you cling to old plans or ways of thinking, you will struggle. Those who embrace change stay powerful. How to apply this law in your own life. 1. Stay open to change. Don't get stuck in one mindset or plan. Be ready to adjust as needed. 2. Be unpredictable. If people can't predict your next move, they can't control you. 3. Learn to flow. Like water, whether in business, relationships, or daily life, be flexible and adaptable. 4. Let go of rigid identities. Don't let others define or confine you. Stay fluid. What to avoid? Mistakes that weaken your power. Being too rigid or predictable makes you an easy target. Refusing to adapt. The world changes constantly. Those who resist change fall behind. Sticking to old strategies. What worked before may not work today. Key takeaways. Powerful people stay flexible, adaptable, and unpredictable. If others can't predict your moves, they can't control you. Formlessness allows you to survive and thrive in any situation. That wraps up our journey through the 48 laws of power. These laws aren't just about manipulation. They teach us how to navigate power, influence, and human nature in everyday life. Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this series, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Books at a Glance for more deep dives into powerful books. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What book should we cover next? Drop your recommendations in the comments and we might feature it in our next video. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.